My mic better now or what?
I mean, I can hear you properly, so like it's fine, I guess.
Alright, okay, cool.
Alright. How about mine? Is mine? Oh, wait, no.
Oh yeah, your mic is totally fine, yeah.
Alright.
Hi everyone, welcome to English Palette. Today's topic, climate change. Are humans responsible? So excited that you decided to join us. Stick around because we're starting right now.
Isn't a ad strip or whoever that is supposed to come?
Yeah, that was one more like a letter or something.
Hi everyone and welcome to English Palette. Today we are having a special Friday, Debate Friday, okay, and the topic is exciting. Don't go away because we are just starting. The topic is climate change. Yes, the hottest topic probably these days, apart from another one I'm not going to mention. But yes, climate change. And today we have an amazing debaters lined up for you. And we're going to listen to their arguments. But just a second, I'm going to just explain what this is all about. Don't go away. Here we go. All right. Okay, everybody. So, you might be wondering if this is your first time here, English Palette, what is this all about? Well, I'm a professional teacher, have been teaching English for over 25 years now in various contexts. And what we're doing is basically trying to give English learners opportunities to speak, to formulate arguments, to support their arguments with details, and this is what we're doing today. Normally our classes take place 3 times a week on Twitch, YouTube, Discord, and especially I would like to introduce right now this amazing Discord server called the English Hub. And we've been growing so quickly, I think because it's such a friendly community. Guys, you should definitely check it out. If you're not a member of the English Hub, you should be. The link is in the video description. Get on it right now. You don't know what you're missing. And so we have, as I mentioned, I teach English here on this server 3 times a week, Mondays, Wednesdays, Fridays. But Fridays we have a special class because it's a debate class. And as I mentioned already, today's topic of the debate is climate change. Everyone, if you're watching us on Twitch, say hi in the chat. If you are watching us on YouTube, also say hi in the chat of the YouTube stream. And in addition, if you want to vote, there's a poll going on right now on the YouTube channel. Right in the chat box where you post your comments, you can click on yes or no. And the question is, of course, climate change. Are humans responsible? All right, everyone, enough of me talking. Let me introduce you to our amazing debating team. right. Okay. So as usual, I post all the information on my website where you can find, well, we have been scheduled today to debate the topic. As I mentioned, we are going to have, for the affirmative side, we have Atharv and LX. They're going to be debating for the answer yes, which is yes, humans are responsible for the global, not global warming, climate change. And for the no side, we have Konda and Zenin. And I believe they are in the room. So let's give them a big round of applause, everybody. Hey guys, welcome. Thanks so much for doing this.
Hello.
Hi, everyone.
Hey,
That's
what's up?
great. Nice to see you here. And thanks so much for preparing. So first of all, let me just explain. Let me explain the format of this debate. So it's going to be on the screen for you right now. Here we go. Right. So the format of the debate. First of all, we are going to start with an opening statement. And that will be 5 minutes for each of the debaters. So first we'll spend up to 10 minutes for the yes side, and then up to 10 minutes for the no side. Okay, so that is a timed event. Then part 2 is the rebuttal. What happens is that each side has a chance to respond to the points that were raised by their opponents. And they can cooperate here. So 2 debaters can have up to 10 minutes. They can use up all the 10 minutes, or they can use less than 10 minutes, whatever works for them. They can speak in turns, or they can speak together. And then finally part 3, which is a free exchange of both sides are given the opportunity to just speak freely and discuss the questions freely. This part is not timed, but I kind of judge based on whether there are new arguments mentioned or whether they're starting to repeat. And if they start to repeat, then I will probably cut that part off. And then finally, part 4 is where the audience gets included, and this is where you come in, guys, who you are listening to us. So what I'd like you to do is basically prepare questions and comments for both sides. We will have a speakers list, and so in the chat, I want you to basically bring up your name in the chat if you are wanting to make a comment, or if you want to ask a question to our debaters. You will have a chance to do that. All right, I hope that is clear to everyone. Once again, if you're joining us right now on stage on Discord, we are live on twitch.tv/EnglishPalette. The links are in my Discord profile, right? So head over there and you will be able to see ours visually as well as audibly here in the Discord chat. All right, everyone. I think I've mentioned enough, except for the fact that we are going to have an exciting debate next week as well. Let me just quickly give you an announcement. The debate is going to be on the topic of eating meat. Is eating meat ethical? Yes or no? So if you're interested in being part of that debate next Friday at the same time, well, send me a message and I will try to put you on the debaters panel. All right. So without further ado, we're going to get started, everyone. So we will get started with our opening statements for the yes side. Let me just make sure that our debaters are ready. Let's see. Okay, we have... All right. Are you guys ready? We have LX. Okay, LX, I believe your partner is not here for some reason. Perhaps a weak connection. So LX, let's just give it to you and see. You can use up either 10 minutes or 5 minutes, depending on what is convenient for you. LX, are you here with us?
So am I audible?
Yes, we can hear you very well. Okay, so if you're ready, I'm going to start the timer, right, and give you the floor. Okay.
So wait.
Yes.
Give me a second. Can I invite my friend from my side, your side? that is Jazzy. He wants to join me from your side.
Okay,
If
well,
you allow.
wonderful. Of course, I allow that because, especially since we don't have our other debater, Jazzy is more than welcome to support you. So, what you're going to have is 10 minutes for both of you to start the opening statement. Yes?
Okay.
Jazzy,
Yes,
let's test your microphone. Is your microphone working?
Yes, I think it is
Wonderful.
working.
Okay, that's great. Everybody, we have Jazzy and LX debating the question climate change. Yes, they are saying humans are responsible. Ready? Let's go.
Let's go.
So, hello everybody. I am from the people who believe that the climate change is the responsibility, and the humans are responsible for it. So, with all technologies and after hundreds of research that shows human activities are changing the composition of air, which is changing the temperature, storms, sea level, and other things. The changes so far have been small, but these gradual, smaller, continuous changes will become so bigger that it will destroy all human creatures or all living creatures on this planet one day. We are noticing rising in sea levels, shrinking of mountain glaciers, melting of ice at a faster rate than usual. For example, Greenland, Antarctica, and Arctic. Changes in the flower and plant blooming times, and Earth's climate has constantly been changing, even even long before human came into the picture. However, scientists have observed usually changes recently. For example, Earth average temperature has been increased much more quickly than they would expect over the past 150 years. On average, global air temperature near Earth's surface has gone up about 2 degrees Fahrenheit in the past 100 years. In fact, the past 5 years have been the warmest 5 years of the century. As Earth's climate continues to warm, the intensity and the amount of rainfall during the storms, such as hurricanes, is expected to increase. Droughts and heat waves are also expected to become more intense as the climate warms. Wait, okay. So some part of Earth are warming faster than others, but on average, global air temperature near Earth is increasing. Many people, include scientists, and are concerned about the warming as Earth climate continues to warm. There are a lot of factors that contribute Earth climate. However, the scientists agrees and certain gases in at Earth atmosphere block heat from escaping. So this is called greenhouse effect. The gases keep Earth warm, like glass in the greenhouse keep plants warm. Human activities such as burning fossil fuel or fossil fuel for power and to give power to the factories, car and buses, they are changing the natural composition of greenhouse gases on the Earth. So these are resulting into the rise in temperature of Earth uh, that result into the melting of glaciers and increasing of the uh, rising of sea levels, and eventually we lost our land due to the floods, and there is a shift in climate change. This matter because ocean, lands, air, plants and animals, even energy from the sun, all have effect on one another. The combined effect of all these things gives us a global climate. So because now it is not about our generation, it is about the next upcoming future generation. That is how it is our responsibility that how we make decision to move forward and leave behind a better future or a dark tomorrow. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Wow, that's great. Let's give him a round of applause. Thank you. Awesome. Thank you, Alex. That was wonderful. Jazzy, would you like to continue with the opening statement?
Yeah, I can add a little. So
Yes.
the fact that like between 2011 to 2020, it was the warmest decade that was ever recorded. So the global average temperature actually reached 1.1 above the industrial levels in 2019. So it is currently increasing at the rate of 0.2 degree per decade. And if this continues, then the limit should be under 2, but it is currently at 1.5. So if this continues, then the global warming will increase and it will cause ozone layer to I mean, there will be holes in the ozone layer and that will allow the UV rays from sunlight to penetrate it, and then it will affect the overall humans, because it will cause diseases like cancer and all. So yeah, the most noticeable change that is caused by human activities is global warming. So what happens is there are greenhouse gases like methane, carbon dioxide. What they do is they get trapped because of ozone layer, and then they produce they increase the temperature of Earth, which affects the overall climate of the Earth. And it is continuously increasing. And like I mentioned before, the previous decade had the highest record of this, the increase in temperature. So definitely human activities have influenced the climate.
That's great. Jazzy?
Yeah.
If you have more arguments to bring forward, feel free to do that, but you don't have to. I know you just jumped in at the last minute, so it's really up to you.
Yeah.
You still have 4 minutes, but we don't have to use up the entire time. It's up to you.
Okay, so I can explain how carbon dioxide, how greenhouse gases are affecting the Earth. So since I mentioned there are gases like carbon dioxide, methane, nitrous oxide, and fluorinated gases. So these are the gases which cause this global warming. And like I mentioned before, it traps the air in that and it raises the temperature of Earth. It has affected glaciers especially, due to which the levels of sea levels have increased, and a lot of countries have been flooded because of that. And if the glaciers continue to melt, then it will overall definitely affect the overall climate of Earth, and it will also cause a lot of floods and hurricanes. And it has also affected the rain cycle in certain areas. So even if I give example of my own town, I've noticed that 10 years ago the climate was different, but nowadays it is there are significant changes. It used to rain very much before, but nowadays it is very less. So it has definitely impacted our life.
Okay. Would you say your part is Alex and Jazzy? Would you say your opening statement is about done right now?
Yeah, sir, I think so.
Okay, all right. Well, thank you so much. This is an amazing opening statement, guys. You're going to have a tough job trying to refute it. Okay, let's give them once again a big round of applause. Thank you so much, Jazzy, LX. Thank you so much. That was awesome. Wow. Okay. And now, ladies and gentlemen, we're going to move on to our to the oppositions. See, not everyone agrees that humans are responsible for the climate change, so we're going to open up the floor to our opposition. So, Konda and Zen, I don't know who wants to go first, but
All right, I'll go first.
okay, very good.
Okay,
so go for it.
All right.
Time starts.
What's up, guys? So I and Konda will be representing the no side for the debate that humans are now responsible for the climate change. Okay, so since the past 300 years, scientists have been arguing that it's humans' fault that the climate in the Earth has been increasing overall. But then recent studies prove otherwise. Okay, so the Earth goes in circular phases known as the ice periods. Okay, so the ice age or the ice period we are living in today is called the Holocene. So what happens is every 50 million years to 100 million years, the temperature remains the same, and then it either goes extremely warm or extremely cold, so that the population of the Earth can re-habit. Also, the temperature that was increased by the global warming, which was caused by humans, was done from the mid 1900s to 1998 approximately. This was done by the colonial government, like the Britishers and the French who were in charge. So they set up large factories. However, since 1998, or like since the mid 1900s, everyone's been starting to be educated about this, and global warming, like the factories fuel and whichever has been going out, it's been dropped significantly. Like from 100%, it's gone down by 70%. So global warming today is just a fraction of 30% that it was in the previous days. The cause of the warm heat and the temperature change right now is what is done by the Earth's natural lifestyle itself. Also, one more point, carbon dioxide. Yeah, carbon dioxide has been being produced by the factories throughout, right? But then in our Earth, like in today, we have almost 3.04 trillion trees. That's enough, or like more than enough, to consume like 300 times of the carbon dioxide given out by all the factories combined in the world. So carbon dioxide is not a matter, and it gets used up and sent back in the form of oxygen. So there's not any really point for it. Okay, I'll let Konda take the rest, as I still have a few points, but then I want him to do the rest if he can.
All right. Okay. So, yeah, my points are similar to Sen, right? But I'll make my stance clear. I think humans have contributed, right? But I do not believe humans are responsible for climate change. I believe it's a natural occurrence. And the reason I say that is because we largely know about climate change through the ice cores, just like Sen said, right? And that's from Antarctica and Greenland. What the ice cores tells us, they go back 420,000 years before present. The ice cores clearly shows rhythms of cooling and warming for temperatures, and rise and fall of CO2. Before this subject became political, scientists were on an agreement to this for the most part, at least till 2014. Um, Also, there's multiple peer-reviewed papers that point that the 20th century temperatures are similar to those that occurred around 1000 to 1100 AD, and even higher temperatures have occurred during the Roman Empire and medieval periods. That proves that the 20th century rise in temperature is within the bounds plus or minus 5 degrees Fahrenheit of natural temperature fluctuations over the past 3,000 years. And just like Sen said, right, fossil fuels have become cleaner and cheaper too. And and carbon dioxide is also produced by multiple other things. And the factory produced and human induced carbon dioxide overall, even if you're being extremely generous with your data, can only provide to all 40% more. And we're trying to trap it right now with companies like Carbon Engineering, which you can look up if you want. But I think that's enough for the statements.
Wait, I have one more point if I can say it. Is that all right?
Yeah, go ahead. Yeah.
Yeah. So, okay. So, 61% of all the children in the world, like everyone below the age of 18, are considered educated in the sense that they go to school and stuff. Okay. So all these people are being taught that global warming is bad, and what we're doing can harm us in the future. So they try to prevent it. However, there's still going to be a bunch of people like factory owners, the rich people in general, like industrialists, who are going to drop the waste inside rivers, like not put air cleaning facilities in the factories, and so just a small group of people among billions of people contribute to what is supposedly the minority of the global warming right now. So can we really say that just because these few people increases the temperature by like a few percent, can we blame it on like every human being, or just say it's humanity's fault? Like when we're being taught about racism, we learn just because a few group of people do something, we cannot blame the entire race or the entire community, right? So how are we blaming all of humanity just because a bunch of people do it when like most educated people or everyone who are aware about the topic try to prevent it. It doesn't seem fair, does it? And with that being said, yeah, that's all our arguments for global warming and why humans are not responsible for the climate change.
Okay, thank you so much. Well, that was an amazing opening statement as well. A big round of applause to all of you guys. Okay, wow, high-level discussion I can foresee, right? Excellent. By the way, if you are here in the audience, if you're just joining us right now, we are live on Discord. The link is in the video description. And we're also live on twitch.tv/English Palette and on YouTube. English Palette is the name of the channel. We are live right now. And basically, even if you're watching this later, don't forget that you can, these classes are happening regularly. So you can always join our community and let your friends know so that they can join the fun with us. And now, ladies and gentlemen, we are going to move on to part 2 of our discussion, and that is going to be the rebuttal. So the yes side will have an opportunity to speak to the points raised by their opposition, and of course, the no side will follow. So, guys, are you ready? Is it Jazzy and LX? Are you guys? Oh, sorry, it was not Jazzy and Alex. Sorry, we're going for the yes side. Yes side. Okay, are you guys ready to rebut the points? LX? Are you guys ready?
Yes, sir.
Okay, that's great. So what I'm going to do is start the timer right now, and let's dive right in. You have 10 minutes for both of you.
Let's go.
So every species that try to coordinate and try to make environment viable, they try to eventually they even the environment, and that goes out of control. Are not only harmful for nature, but they are also very harmful for their own self. They are the opposite team. Talk about the small people. We can't blame whole humanity by the deeds of a small group of people. But I want to say that this group of people are doing so bad to our environment in a large scale that we can't control them because they have money, they have power, they have control over laws. So we can't even control them. They control us. They control all humanity. They represent us. So that's how humans are responsible, because we are not a single thread. We are like a chain. So if a person is doing something, that creates a chain reaction, and it will affect all the factors related to the climate, because because each and every aspect and factor affects each other and have effects on each other.
Mm-hmm. Okay, would your partner like to add something? Hello?
Yeah, I would say that even though like the number of people who are owning factories are limited, but they are having a huge impact on the world. They are literally controlling all the factories and the, you could say, economy, and they are definitely affecting the climate. And the thing is that not only carbon dioxide, but also gases like methane, chlorofluorocarbons, they are also released, and they have a huge impact. And the fact that you were saying that carbon dioxide can be absorbed by plants, but that does not happen. Like if that the complete carbon dioxide does not get consumed, it is only a limited amount of carbon dioxide that is consumed. And the fact that 48% increase, there was a 48% increase in last 50 years in the temperatures of, in the emissions of carbon dioxide. So that is a huge impact. That is a huge factor. And yes, like I was saying in the beginning, the little number of people are having a huge impact on humanity, the climate. So we can blame them, and we are allowing them to stay right.
All right. Okay.
Okay.
can't.
Do
I'm
I go
waiting.
now?
Okay,
or-
wait a second. Yeah, are you guys done with the rebuttal before we let the no side speak? You still have some time, but it's really up to you. You don't have.
One more point.
Yes.
Okay. You said about the plants are absorbing carbon dioxide, but what about the deforestation? We make furniture, we cut plants, we cut trees, we want to paper, we want paper, right? We cut trees. What about that? Because if we plant a little seed that can't able to consume that, it can't able to absorb that tremendous amount of carbon dioxide from the atmosphere. That's it from me.
All right. Okay. Can I go now?
Okay, so I don't know. We need to ask them if they are willing to give up their rest of their time. So
Oh, yeah.
LX,
Alex, are you finished?
are you guys done with your rebuttal, or would you like to continue? If you remember any other points you want to address, then this is the time. Okay, well, hearing none, what we're going to do is I'm going to stop. Yes, Alex, what's up? Alex, maybe you're lagging a little bit there.
So I think I'm done.
Okay, very good.
Yeah, I'm done too.
Okay, very good. Thank you so much. Well, great rebuttal. Thank you. Oh my goodness, that's great. Okay, they mentioned deforestation and other gases, not just CO2. Wow. Okay, very good. And now let's move on to rebuttal for part no, for side no, sorry. Okay, so what I'm going to do is restart the timer. You guys have 10 minutes, up to 10 minutes. You don't have to use up 10 minutes, but you have up to 10 minutes to address the points that your opposition raised during their opening statement. Okay, let's go.
All right. Okay. So
Let's go.
when Alex said about sea levels, right? So sea levels have actually been steadily rising for thousands of years now. And the increase has little to no effect due to human activity. This has been proven multiple times in the UN even, and they've submitted those peer-reviewed papers. And these are studies relating to the Pleistocene Ice Age, 18,000 years ago, I believe. Sea levels were actually 400 feet lower than they are today and have been slowly rising ever since. And that has all been due to natural availability, to the changes in the ocean. And precipitation patterns. That's what the study says. I'm quoting the study here, and I'm going to actually rebuttal the rebuttal, right? So I agree that when factories exist and they mine fossil fuels, we are also responsible for it because they do that because they are consumers, and the consumers is us, right? Majority of us, at least. But my point is, fossil fuels are becoming cleaner and cheaper than ever before. And there is simply no other alternative other than nuclear energy, which is not that stable yet, to provide energy for the world. And it has been proven multiple times that it is better than solar and winds. For nuclear power, like I said, it's not stable, so it's best to stick to fossil fuel plants right now. I finished my statement.
Oh, okay. Yes. Well, what about your partner?
Okay, so first of all, 71% or something I said earlier. The global warming or the climate change, all the factories have been going down. Okay, so they have been adding air purifiers. They have been adding the facilities. They have been adding trucks and other stuff to dispatch the waste somewhere else. However, despite only like 20 to 30% of the previous amount of global warming and misuse of the factories and the fossil fuels being remaining, the temperature still has been increasing in the last few years by over 40 to 50%, and it's still going up. And yeah, it is true that these few people are responsible for like 5 to 6% of the total climate increase. However, you cannot just blame it on them, because in the world, there are like many countries where people like starve to death just because they do not have energy. Countries like UAE, whose main state is Dubai, they are dependent on selling oil just for living because they do not have any other alternative to make money and live. Africa, South Africa, Nigeria, and other countries depend on selling fossil fuels for energy to live. And something we have been learning in life from like day one is we need to live, and survival of the fittest is what's the most important. So if we have to burn resources just to keep on living, I don't think that's our fault, or it should be our fault, because just 5 to 6% does not mean anything. Also, deforestation has been done, all right? Like over 2 to 4 million trees has been cut down in the past 10 years. However, the government of US and UN in general, they have like sent out many commissions to plant trees. In fact, in the last year in US itself, they planted about 2.6 million trees by the locals. The government has planted more, and some famous YouTubers like Mr. Beast and others have planted like 20 million trees or even more. So yeah, deforestation was being done, but then now there are laws against it. People are planting trees. People are doing everything they can, all right? But then the temperature is still going up, as how it has been done for like the past 1,000 years. And it's not even in our control, as the Earth's core is completely increasing in its temperature, and we have no control over it whatsoever. The sea level is going to rise, and it's going to go down again, like it happened 2,000 years ago, and how the fall of the lost city of Atlantis and others was written. It is inevitable, and it's going to happen, and we cannot stop this. All right, that's it for me.
All right, I'll actually add on something else too regarding the deforestation policy that Sen just talked about, right? The reason that there's a lot of wildfire happening is not necessarily due to climate change. Actually, it is due to people not actually cutting bush trees, and that is in certain states in America. That's what they're doing now. They have these certain policies where they have to cut down bush trees and plant new ones instead. And what in turn that does is we're also getting resources, but we're also protecting the environment, right? And if other countries can adapt that too and follow that policy and follow that cycle, possibly we'll have more trees planted and cut down and less wildfires too.
Okay, all right. Would that be, are you conceding the rest of your time? You have still 4 minutes to go,
I just have one more point to say.
Okay, good. Mm-hmm.
All right, so global warming in general, it's like not at all our fault. And in fact, the temperature change is like completely minor. And there's also one more skeptic that people have been considering for the last couple of years. It is that, mining these fuels and, burning them, they do release chlorofluor, CFC gases and others, which were considered to be bad for the environment. However, recent studies suggest that, they can be broken down. And usually after staying in the atmosphere for over 48 hours, they do get broken down in the form of oxygen and carbon dioxide, which are later either inhaled by animals or changed to oxygen by the trees. So it's not a complete waste either.
Thank you for that. Okay, that's great. Would you say that this concludes your rebuttal?
Yeah.
Okay, all right. Well, thank you so much. Again, a big round of applause to our No team. Thank you so much. Wow, they raised excellent points as well. And everybody, we are going to move on to our part 3 of the debate, where both parties have a free exchange going on. They will be able to just talk about the issue and just go back and forth, mention different arguments, and that one is not going to be timed. This one is going to be we'll basically judge on whether they have new things to say. But to you, the audience, now is the time, guys, to prepare your questions and to tag me in the chat. If you want to speak, just tell me I want to speak, and I'll put you on the speakers list, because in part 4, you will be able to either make a statement or ask a question to our debaters. So please tag me, otherwise I will lose your comment, okay? So tag me, English Palette. And now let's move on to our part 3 of the debate, which is our free exchange of ideas. Both parties, you are all unmuted. And so there you go, guys. Maybe you want to just discuss this issue among each other. Let's go.
Okay.
Let's go.
I want to go first. That I earlier discussed that the Earth climate has constantly been changing even long before the human came into the picture, and that is how, and by human activities we accelerated the process. That's why it is a matter of concern. The second point is it they talk about that the Arab countries, they're selling fossil fuel for their living, so they can change their source of income. They have lots of desert and lots of free land, barren land. Then they can develop solar plants there and sell electricity. That no argument for that how they will live. And the third point is government make laws. So you are saying that government are making laws against the deforestation and the things. So you are saying that they are responsible, that humans are responsible, so that we are taking responsibility to protect it, and we are making laws against to protect these climate conditions. So you are directly saying that humans are responsible in this point. And another point, temperature is you are saying minor, but it has a cascade effect. So how small changes in one place can contribute to the bigger changes on the Earth global climate.
Okay, so I'll go step by step here. So your first argument is that they could use a different energy, or they could make electricity, and most electricity is actually produced by coal, and coal is actually more harmful than fossil fuels. And there's nothing wrong with precisely selling fossil fuels. It's one of the best cheap and cleaner things we have compared to solar and windmills, which objectively speaking is worse actually. And well, I let you speak, so I'm going to. I hope you don't interfere. Next, to your other points, are humans responsible for climate change? And deforestation is kind of not a similar thing, because when I talked about deforestation and the policies that government was making, I was specifically talking about wildfires and why so many wildfires have been caused in the last 20 years. And the reason is because we stopped cutting down on bush trees, and we focused on different areas. Whereas back in the day, you used to cut down and replant. That's what Lumberwood Jackson did. But we stopped doing that, and that's what initially caused this spike in wildfires.
Can I add a point to that?
Go ahead.
Yeah, so, all right, Alex said that humans have been responsible for this, as, countries like Arab countries and African countries, they can do some other methods to, keep on going and making money like that. But then the truth is, it's not possible. First point, our countries have a dry environment. They're full of desert, so you can't even make a proper facility without harming the environment. If number one, you can probably clean the desert, but then that's going to cause large scale environmental issues and displacement, which is also harmful. Number two, they do not have other resources other than oil. Make sure you keep that in mind, because to generate electricity by making a solar plant, you will need coal, you will need proper water supply systems and other facilities, which they just do not have. And if they try to bring that, they would probably cause more harm than doing good. And number three is, all right, humans have increased it, but then the minority is like by 7 to 8%. They had increased it, all right? Like That's what happening from the 1900s. But then after 1998, after UN publishing its rules, the people started to back down on it. All right, so basically, almost 4%. Okay, so 7% was being increased, and people are still doing it. But then 4 to 5% is like like benefiting the world. So like there's a 2% imbalance, but then that doesn't really affect anything. Think about it. We are existing, right? We need resources, and somehow we have to live. So if we're just taking 2%, and if you're harming the world by 2% per year, the temperature, like trees even cut it out, all right? So I don't think it really matters. And in the long run, we have to live. So if it is by 1 or 2%, and if that's how much we can do, even by spreading awareness to the entirety of humanity, I don't think there's much more we can do. We just have to stick to it, and we have to abide by it. That's all I have to say.
All right.
First
Okay.
of all, I
So
would like to
this,
point out that solar panels do not require any water usage. Like it is barely anything. On top of
but
that, yeah, go
solar
ahead.
panels and solar panels and windmills have been proven over and over that it is actually doing more harm than good compared to fossil fuels. To
Can you
produce
back that up with
energy.
something? Like how is it affecting our? Yeah.
I have a whole transcript I could read if you want. Do you want me to go?
Yeah, go ahead.
Let me find it. Okay,
Yeah, I'm
solar
ready to
and wind.
listen.
Yeah.
Like, I need to.
Okay, this is pretty long, so I'm sorry because this is a transcript. This is not said by me. So okay,
No, but,
I'll read
like,
that.
how are they doing more harm than good?
Yeah, sure. That's what I told you, right? I can read this transcript for you. Hold on.
Okay, I just wonder if it's
Also,
if it's a very long transcript, can you sum up what it actually says, or
Yeah,
maybe
summarize it.
or maybe provide us with the source?
Well, okay. Well, they're talking about statistics and comparing some things, right? So I it's hard to summarize. but
Okay,
I think
go
I
for
think
it
I
then.
could summarize it if Conda can't. All right, Conda, go ahead.
If I
You do it.
Yeah, you can
if I
just
go
share
for
it.
too long, if I go for too long, just tell me to stop.
Okay,
Also.
okay, thank you.
Okay, so solar and wind, all sources of energy have limits and can't be exceeded. The maximum rate at which the sun protons can be converted to electrons is about 32%. Our best solar technology is at 26% efficiency. For wind's maximum capture is 60%. Our best machines are at 45%. So we are pretty close to wind and solar limits. And winds and solar only work when the wind blows and when the sun shines. But we need energy all the time. The solution we are told is to use batteries. Again, physics and chemistry make this very hard to do. Consider the world's biggest factory, the one Tesla built in Nevada. It would take 500 years for that factory to make enough batteries to store just uh, to store just 1 day's worth of American energy. This helps explain why wind and solar currently still supply less than 3% of the world's energy after 20 years and billions of dollars spent in subsidies. A single electric car battery weighs about half a ton. Fabricating one requires digging up, moving, and processing more than 250 tons of earth somewhere on the planet. Building a single 100 megawatt wind farm, which can power 75,000 homes, requires some 30,000 of iron ore and 50,000 of concrete, as well as 900 tons of non-recyclable plastic for the huge blades. To get the same power from solar, the amount of cement, steel, and glass needed is 150% greater. Then there are the other minerals needed, including elements known as rare earth metals. With current plans, the world will need an incredible 200 to 2,000% percentage increase in mining for elements such as cobalt, lithium, dysporium, to name just a few. Australia's Institute of Sustainable Future Caution, I can't pronounce this word. That global gold rush for energy materials will take miners into remote wilderness areas that have maintained high biodiversity because they haven't yet been disturbed. And then there's the waste. Wind turbines, panels, and batteries have a relatively short life, about 20 years. about 20 years, conventional energy machines like gas turbines last twice as long. With current plans, the International Renewable Energy Agency calculates that by 2050, the disposable worn-out solar panels will constitute over double tonnage of today's global plastic waste. Worn-out wind turbines and battery will add millions of tons of more waste. It will be a whole new environmental challenge. Before we launch history's biggest increase in mining, dig up millions of acres in pristine areas, encourage child labor, create waste problems, we might want to reconsider our almost inexhaustible supply of
Okay,
hydrocarbons.
Konda, I hate to cut
Yes.
you off, but I'm just thinking, I think we get the
there's only,
point.
It's like only 3 more sentences.
Okay, all right, so then go. 3 more sentences.
The fuels that make our marvelous modern world possible, and technology is making it easier to acquire and cleaner to use them every day. Following comparison, typical and instructive. It costs about the same to drill one oil well as it does to build one giant wind turbine. And while that turbine generates that energy equivalent of 1 barrel of oil per hour, the oil rig produces 10 barrels per hour. It costs less than 50 cents to store a barrel of oil or its equivalent in natural gas, but you need $200 worth of batteries to hold energy contained in 1 oil barrel. So it's cheap. So it's extremely expensive. It's inefficient. It also costs the environment more. It's going to cost child labor. It's going to dig up, even more places. And overall, it's a terrible idea. That's my point.
Okay, thank you so much. Well, maybe we could ask maybe
can I
Konda
add one
for
more
a
point?
link to that article. Maybe you can provide that with the link in the chat so that others can actually take a look at it and learn from it too. Thank you. So let's continue a little bit longer. In the meantime, we are making a speakers list. So if you want to speak and you want to make a comment or ask a question, then please add yourselves to the speaker list in the classes chat. Yes.
Jack,
Okay, so first of all, the thing is,
wait, can I just have one point? All right, so
yeah, go ahead.
first
real
of
quick.
all, solar panels and windmills, they last like 25 to 30 years at the maximum. But then in the middle, there's it has often breakdowns and they need to be repaired. All right. So the thing is, the solar panels contains photovoltaic cells that convert the sunlight into electricity. But then the problem is, when these solar panels enter the landfills, the valuable resources go to waste, as it's literally sucking up all the how to explain it. So the energy from the ground, it's completely being all the area around it, it's completely hardened so that these substances do not fall off. So all the area near it is pretty much being utilized just for these purposes. And number two is the solar panels consist of toxic materials like lead, and these leach out, all right, as they break down. And this happens like every 6 months to per year, and they need often repairment. So if this is not fixed, it's probably going to end up causing much more harm than it causes any good thing. And since these high price to maintain, it's pretty much a burden for everyone to use it rather than just sticking to fossil fuels.
Thank you so much, Zen.
So
we're getting
first of all,
comments.
I would like to say that
Okay, go ahead. Just
the number
continue.
of one day we are gonna run out of fossil fuels, so we cannot avoid the transition from fossil fuels to cleaner sources of energy. So even if we're putting in efforts right now, they are gonna have a great impact in the future. Because we know that one day we're gonna run out of fossil fuels, so we cannot completely burn them out. And on top of that, whenever we do something new, there were televisions, they were very big back then, but after evolution, they became very slim. So things improve by just whenever we do something, we actually improve things, and that is how we get more efficiency. And since this clean energy is very new to this humanity, it has only been 20 years. So if we actually want to see a huge impact, then it will take quite a while. And since you were saying that you were saying that it has not the carbon dioxide at all, you were saying that chlorofluorocarbons have not affected this climate change. I would like to say that in 19 uh, just wait a minute. In 1985, there was a theory that proved like there was a hole just above the Antarctica, like the ozone layer was gone from there. And then after that, the countries actually banned the use of chlorofluorocarbons, and 195 countries were there who actually did that. And there were huge improvements in the like how the ozone layer was affected. Okay, so global observations have also confirmed that the levels of key of ozone depletion substances are going down, and it is expected to get back to the previous levels, like 1980 levels before the chlorocarbons. So it definitely affected the climate change, and the treaty was Montreal Protocol, and it like
Mhm.
yeah, it
Okay,
was a
so
great. It had a great impact on the overall like the ozone depletion. It stopped the ozone depletion at a great rate
Very
after banning them.
interesting.
yeah,
Would you like to
okay,
respond,
so
guys?
Okay.
Yeah, let's go for a
yeah,
little
I'll
bit longer.
respond. So
Can
yeah,
can I go?
Yeah.
I'd like
Oh,
to
Can
respond
I?
to Jassy first, then you can make your point. So it's like a little clearer because I'd have to go to another topic. So Jassy, I agree with you 100% here. Like innovation exists, and we could find something better than fossil fuels. I agree with that, but we still haven't, and the only thing that is remarkably close is nuclear energy, right? And that's kind of the beauty of capitalism. If there is something better, cheaper, and cleaner, people are going to go to that and try to profit off it. So we're obviously going to make that change. But to say, but we don't have any other option other than nuclear energy right now. That's my point. And if you want to go into studies and what studies show, it is true that there is multiple studies that prove that climate change exists, right? But there is actually very few that claim that humans are responsible for it. For example, there was more than I think I don't know how many studies there are now, but a recent blog I saw today claimed that there was more than 17,000 peer-reviewed studies submitted across many groups like UN and Australia's board and other countries' board, and they so out of these 70,000 peer-reviewed papers, only 78 claimed that humans were responsible. Now you can go ahead, Alex. I made my points.
Okay. Okay. Unlike fossil fuels, solar panels do not produce air pollution and carbon dioxide, and they also have a minimal effect on environment. And this is all according to the U.S. Energy Information Administration. Okay, so you talk about the Arabic countries. They have a desert. They don't change their source of income. So have you heard of UAE, Dubai? They make everything out of nowhere. And you talk about that these sources, clean energy sources, are more expensive. But I just want to say that they maybe require more money, and they are maybe more uh, they require more sources, but it will eventually save our futures.
No, it won't.
Can I
okay.
counter statement
If
this?
Okay,
well,
maybe let's just
if
say
it's
3 more
taken
minutes,
up,
guys. 3 more minutes, and then we're going to move
if
on to the
something is
audience. Mhm.
okay, look, so the look, developed countries like the US, like Sen said, is trying to go carbon neutral, right? And this has happened, especially US was the first country to do it, and they did it because during the early 90s, and NASA scientists brought multiple studies proving that carbon dioxide is affecting the environment and causing changes. So they started to cut down on coal and other things, right? And US has just like Zen said, since the 1980s, they've been cutting down on it at an exponential rate. But for other countries, like I'm talking about developing countries, China, India, they're the ones making the most amount of producing human-induced carbon dioxide, right? And you can't tell them to just make solar panels and switch to that energy when it's more expensive. It takes way more resources. We simply don't have enough miners to get that job done. And it also, overall, objectively speaking, it is worse than fossil fuels. People are not going to adapt something that's going to cost them too much money where they're making a loss, and it is also harming the environment. So that's simply not logical. But
All
I
right.
think
Okay, so
What God has
here,
said, I
here,
have to.
switch. I think we could switch to nuclear energy, right? But politicians are really afraid of instituting nuclear energy plants, and people are not open to it because of the explosions and bad incidents that happened 20 years ago, right? But I think we have better
yeah,
technology now
nuclear
to make
reactor
it safer.
produce
Yeah,
radiations. Yeah,
and as for
that will
carbon dioxide,
increase the emission.
so for carbon dioxide, right? I think the solution is to uh, like trap carbon dioxide or find new innovative measures. Just like Jassy said, innovation is great. So we should try to innovate things and fund groups that are trying to bring a change other than legislating and slowing down the modern world, right? My example is AOC published this deal called the Green New Deal, and pretty much what it instates is that she wants to replace every a fossil car in the next 10 years. She wants to cut down jets and planes completely and wants to change the trains, which has been proven multiple times that it is actually going to be worse for the environment. But my point is, these are things that are just not going to happen. And she also wants to cut down. No, she wants to shut down fossil fuel plants, which is a terrible idea, by the way, because we don't have enough energy from even nuclear energy, or solar to power to get American energy, right? And it will also directly fire almost 8 million people. So that is a huge thing. It's going to crush the economy. It's going to ruin the livelihoods of people. So we simply can't go to that measure. But as for the innovation, there's actually a company called Carbon Engineering, right? That you guys can look up. So what they do is they somehow collect carbon dioxide. I don't know how they do it. You guys can search up their website. And they trap it underground, and now they're trying to convert it into energy that can fuel cars and such. And I think innovations like that, they're kind of successful in it, but they don't have enough funding right now. That's what I heard. So I think we should be
Okay, okay, okay.
subsidizing innovations like
If
that. Yeah.
eh,
Wait,
if
I have
if I
something to say.
if I
All right.
talk
So,
about if if I talk about the developing countries, developing nation, if I talk about India, we have policy that we are shifting 70% of our energy needs to renewable energy by 2030. So we are stepping towards these policy. We want to protect the climate. We are not making excuses that we don't have money or something. We are just arranging anyhow, and we are looking forward a better future.
wait, can I say
So let
something?
me
All
tell
right.
you. Let
So,
me tell you how humans are
okay, can I
responsible
go
for
ahead,
the climate
Jay-Z?
change.
Jay-Z, can I
Yeah,
finish
go
it? Then
ahead.
you go to the next point.
Yeah, sure,
All
sure.
right.
I
So,
will. Yeah.
look, I lived in UAE for like 9.5 years of my life, and now I'm living in India. So, just saying, developing countries, okay, the population is continuously increasing. All right, we need some type of fuel to live on, and using fossil fuels is currently the only way, other than nuclear energy, which countries like Russia, China, US have been already getting used to. But then developing countries are going to need it, and we cannot say no to that. In one side, you're going to be risking, like people dying out of starvation and unemployment for a safe future, but then we cannot be affording that. The thing is, are humans responsible? No, they're not, because at the end, 2 to 3% of the temperature is going up. Also, by 2030, they have been saying that they might do it. There's no guarantee, because even till date, in the past 2 years, only a couple of top factories have been using solar panels and windmills. The thing is, these stuff are just they give much less resources, and they just aren't useful enough. So we cannot be depending on them. In the long run, scientists are going to be finding something that's going to be changing this, and we're probably going to have a new resource to use on. But then we cannot just say it's our fault for using fossil fuels. Yeah, fossil fuels will run out someday,
I will.
and by that day we will probably find out
Okay,
something else.
Yeah,
I will
Okay.
point out two things. First of all, that
Alex,
let me finish
I'd
now.
like to. Oh, yeah, go ahead.
Okay, so let me tell you that nuclear energy does not release any gases
Yes,
that
it's zero
causes any
emission. Yeah.
pollution. It does not
Yes,
contribute
I
anything
agree.
at all to global warming. It has next
Yes,
to it has very less fuel cost as compared to fossil fuels. The
agreed.
quantity of fuel that is required to produce a large amount of energy is very less, and the power stations also have a huge lifetime. And let me present my last point, like how are humans responsible for climate change? Who is the person who is burning coal, oil, and gas? Who is the person who is cutting down trees? Who is the person who is chasing livestock and increasing the number of animals? Who is the person who is releasing carbon dioxide and like fluorocarbons in the air? And
JC,
So,
JC.
on top of that,
And if that was sir,
no, Sen,
JC, if
I'll
that
take
was
this
sir,
one. I'll
all
take this one.
right,
Don't
sure,
worry.
sure.
So,
Go ahead.
Alex, I'd like to first ask you about which renewable energy India is changing to, because this is the one that the Australian Institute wants, right? Like, if people are going to blindly change to solar and wind, that's going to cause a negative effect. It's going to create another environmental crisis. It's going to cost taxpayers billions of dollars in laws. And for Jassy, as for are humans responsible, like we stated, right? We both agree, me and Sen at least agree that humans have accelerated the climate change. That is true. But if you look at time loops and pretty much any study that was submitted in UN and other notable institutions or organizations, they clearly state, and they most scientists, both group one, most that are pro climate change and uh, at the con side, both agree that climate change happens over time, right? And there's a time loop, and they're able to compare it with old recorded data. But have we accelerated it? Yes, we have. We're like releasing a lot of carbon dioxide, so I agree with that. But it is also necessary, isn't it? For modern life to go by, we need energy, and the best source of energy right now is fossil fuels. And as for nuclear energy, yeah, we should switch to it, and we are switching to it at a good rate right now. We don't want to accelerate this by legislating it, because we know what happens whenever government tries to get something done. It usually goes horribly. There's going to be another explosion and another horrible event that is going to happen. And if that happens, that's going to set us back like in another 50 years. People are not going to be wanting to do nuclear energy for a long time after that. So we need to be really careful when we do these things and take our time and study and make sure it's as safe um, and efficient as possible.
Okay, I
Okay,
changes
think
occur over time. So
I
of
think
course,
I need
nuclear
Jack, let me
energy
say
is
to
going
one
to be
point.
good
start
for us.
wrapping up this part. Okay, maybe
Jack,
let's.
can I just add one last point?
Okay, one more point then.
Yeah, I would
Mhm.
also like to add
All
after
right,
that.
Okay, so two more
all right.
points. Zen and then who was it?
JC, I guess.
Jay Z.
Yeah, all right. I think we're diverging from the main point. However, I'd just like to say, yeah, humans did contribute a lot. Did all right, like in 1900s to 1998. Uh, Nuclear energy is being adapted to.
Mhm.
Russia, China, Canada,
America.
yeah, a lot of other countries have the reaction facilities required to continue this. However, yeah, it's pretty dangerous. That's what's not being done by all the countries. As you might know
Yeah.
about the Chernobyl incident, it
Mhm.
almost killed
Yeah.
the entire continent. Everyone's going to
Yep.
die if it was not for two people. And yeah, one more thing
Yeah.
is, look, wait, in the history of William Shakespeare, they say the Jews were responsible for killing the people. But then, do we blame all the Jews just because a bunch of Jews in England were doing a problem with money lending? So can we blame all of humanity just because 100 or 200 people out of billions of people contribute to this, while everyone else is like, no, let's not do this? Can we do that? I don't think that's fair.
Okay, and
I don't
So
agree with
the
that.
thing is,
Jazzy, you
like
wanted to wrap
all of
up?
the population, like the 200 people you are talking about, they are also supported by us. So
Yeah, I
they are
agree.
also doing work just because we are letting them do it. We are actually giving them reasons to move forward. And another thing is, like, the basic question was, are humans responsible? And since humans are contributing to the environment change, I would say that they are definitely responsible up to some extent.
But
Oh,
then, out of 100%, I don't think
okay.
2 to 3% will make us responsible for
Oh no,
it
no. Okay,
going
Sen,
up and down by
Sen,
70 or 80
okay,
percent.
Sen, I'll stop you right there because that's not correct. Because we are responsible. Because the only reason fossil fuel plants exist and the reason this 1% does what they do is because we consume that, right? We consume energy, and they only do it because
Mhm.
they're profitable. So I don't think that's a good argument. But what I'll say is that are we responsible? We contribute to it, but I don't think climate change necessarily happens because of us. I think we accelerate the process, but I don't think that means that we are responsible per se because we're only accelerating the process, which is going to happen regardless.
Exactly.
And we can
Even if we did not do this, it would still happen. So yeah.
it still happen. It's just the time would have been, it would have been longer, that's for sure. But
Mhm.
I think we can prevent this by making innovations, just like Jassy said. But I don't think the innovation is cutting down on fossil fuel plants and switching to solar and wind because that's a
Absolutely.
terrible idea. Yeah.
All right,
Yeah, the
everyone.
change is
I'm
always
sorry,
gradual.
but
There's gonna
It
take
can be
ages.
implemented. Yeah.
okay, guys. I'm sorry. I'm going to cut you off here. Okay, I must say, wow, this is amazing. Thank you so much for this free exchange of ideas. Let's give them a big round of applause. I'm really amazed at the level of the discussion here. Thank you so much, guys. But we're not done yet. We are not done yet. We're going to move on to part 4, which is comments and questions from the audience, guys. All right, let's don't go away because now we're going to move on to comments and questions from the audience. All right, excellent. Yes, I must say today's debate is really great, and I think a good example for all of you listening. I hope you get involved in this. Just to remind you that next week on Friday, we're going to have a debate on the topic of eating meat. Is eating meat ethical? If you're interested in being on the panel, please message me on Discord. Whoever agrees to do this is responsible for preparing a 5-minute opening statement, just like we had our debaters do today. And then, of course, you have to stay for the rest of the debate and interact with your opposition and the audience. So if you're interested in doing that, just message me right now. Is eating meat ethical? Yes or no? Just let me know which side you want to defend, and I will try to put you on the panel. And now, ladies and gentlemen, I think we are ready to take questions from the audience. I believe our first speaker is going to be Dragon Overlord. Dragon Overlord, are you here in the room? Let's just see. What you need to do is unmute yourself. Okay, respond to the invite. Hello, Dragon Overlord.
Oh, hello.
Hello. Do you have a question or a comment? Now is your time.
Okay. Well, I kind of wanted to talk a little about the climate change thing, but that can be for later. But what question I do have is, someone mentioned the Ice Age, which happened some 1,000 years ago. I don't remember when. The Ice Age is like long gone. Would that really still have an effect on the Earth itself? Because I don't think it would.
Wait, Ice Age is not just one period that was gone, alright? Like, since the creation of Earth, the Earth has been going in patterns called Ice Ages. Like, one Ice Age is like incredibly warm and everyone just boils to death. One is incredibly cold, and it's been like 4 or 5 or 6 Conda can explain that. And we are living in one, which is like normal for ages. Conda, go ahead.
So Dragon, there is actually multiple ice ages, right? In multiple periods. That's why I specifically pointed out the ice cores of Antarctica and Greenland, right? Because that's the most credible source we have. Because scientists because we have the most amount of research and paper done in that specific time, and that was 420,000 years ago. And I know your comparison, right? You're like, oh, that's a really long time ago. And that's why I brought up the Roman and medieval times example too, right? To align both of them and show you that similar climate changes have happened every 3,000 years right now. And it will continue to happen. But we have accelerated that process, but my point is this has always happened in Earth's history, right? Climate change has been going on since the beginning of time, and no, since the beginning of Earth, I suppose, and it's going to continue to happen. And we can artificially try to prevent it or mold it in a way where it's beneficial to us, but needless to say, nature is going to take its course.
Okay, thank you so much, Konda and Zen. How about LX and Jazzy? Do you want to respond to that question? The question about Ice Age, and is it relevant?
I think that they already did a great job at explaining it. So.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I just want to give you an opportunity if you guys want to.
Can I tell Dragon one more thing?
Sorry?
Can I tell Dragon one more thing?
Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, Dragon. So I don't know if you have heard about this, but then there was like this Old Testament from Christianity called the Old Flood or something, the Great Flood. Yeah, even that was like a reference to one of the ice ages. Like, I think there was some reminiscence from the last ice age or something that some philosopher found, and he wrote the Great Flood story based on one ice age. Like, the entire Earth would go underwater. So yeah, that's one example of how an ice age ends.
Thank you so much. Yeah, I think the question was if those ice ages are relevant to us today. But thank you so much, guys. And Dragon Overlord, thank you so much for also asking this question. That is great. Let's move on to Amitesh. Amitesh, you're next on our speakers list. Do you have a comment or did you want to ask a question? The floor is yours. Amitesh, welcome.
So, I have a comment and I have a question also. So, from the discussion everyone had done a great job, I will say, and it had been concluded that the climate change is real. So if the climate change is real, so it's about we should not debate on the topics, are humans responsible or not. It's our great need priority to just do the things which will prevent the climate change, because it's our own home planet, and if climate change will occur, then all the humanity will be there will be lots of destruction, and we are now seeing the effects of climate change in 2 or 3 years. There are more tornadoes coming on, more landsliding is going on, and people are losing their lives. So it's our responsibility as a humans to prevent climate change, and
Thank
we
you.
are
Amitesh,
yes.
Did you have a question to our debaters? Maybe.
Yes, I have one question.
Okay.
Anyone was saying that the climate change is only a minor changes there, 0.5 degrees Celsius or 1 degree Celsius. So I would like to ask if it is a small change, 0.5 degrees Celsius or 1 degree Celsius, but you should also consider that Earth's mass or Earth size is so big, and it will require just to very much lot amount of energy, and so that 1 degree of change can occur.
Sorry, guys, did you understand the question? I
think he asked. I think he was asking is even 1 or 2% climate change okay for the environment? I mean, all I can really say is climate change is going to happen regardless of what we do. Like, simply by existing right now with our modern means, we are giving 1 or 2% increase in it. Even if we did our best, we could probably slow it down by 4 or 5%. But then that's probably all we can do. We cannot freeze climate change. We cannot control it. It's out of our hands. Someday we have to die, and that's inevitable.
Yeah, so climate change it's a natural process, right? It's gonna keep happening. We can't prevent that. We can't freeze time, but we can try to prevent global warming. That is possible, and we should try to do that. I agree with you. And the 1 Celsius thing, that's taken on average, right? So Is it a huge thing? Yeah, it is a huge thing. On average, climate being warmer by 1 Celsius is a pretty big thing.
Yeah,
Okay.
one more thing. We
Mhm.
just only can do just one thing, that we can't control the climate change, but we shouldn't try to contribute in the destruction.
Mhm. Okay, thank you
I
so
would say that
much.
even small changes have a big impact. So even if you
Okay.
increase like 10 inches of water, overall water on Earth, it will cause a lot of floods. So overall, it causes a lot of change on the environment.
Thank
Even
you
one
so
or two
much.
percent, 1 or 2%. Yeah.
Dorito effect.
Okay, that's great. Thank you so much. I think Amitesh, your question was very good. Thank you for asking it. Now we're going to go to Oliver. Oliver, are you here? You are next on the speakers list. Did you have a comment or a question or both? You can speak now. Mhm.
Yeah, I had a comment on the opposition about them saying that it was warmer during the Roman times.
Yes.
First of all, I want to address that. I want to congratulate them that they actually know about the phenomena of axial tilt and eccentricity and that stuff.
Okay, so you just wanted to make a comment and congratulate them that they did their research?
Yeah, but I want to get to the comment here that... Wait, please, I will have to find it.
So there you have it, guys. Congratulations for doing your research. That's wonderful.
Yeah.
Thank you.
I think it was some et al. Study and I don't know who the guy was, but
Yeah.
But oh my.
Yeah, I also want to say that they have great facts and research, and they done a great job.
Right, I found it. According to
too,
the Shakun et al. Study, during the Roman times, it was actually around the temperatures of 1800s.
Are you saying the Roman times means Roman Empire? Like, are you saying 2000 years ago or so?
Yeah.
The temperatures were the same as in 1800s?
Yeah. Or actually, it only went down for a bit at the 1200s.
Okay, so when I said the Roman and medieval times, I was referring to 1000 AD to 1100 AD, which was one of the hottest times for Earth.
Okay, 1000 AD.
It wasn't actually higher at that time. It was actually lower.
It was one of the no.
Okay.
It was one of the highest recorded times in history we ever saw it.
Okay, all right. Well, we seem to have a difference of opinion, but Oliver, did you have a question? Maybe you want to ask both sides or
Oliver, so just to clarify it, in case you have a doubt, you can look it up on znews.india.com or like www.wild.com. Both of them say the same study as Konda said.
Thank you so much. So perhaps
could you say it in chat, please?
Yeah, perhaps you can just provide links in the chat. That would be great. Thank you so much. And thank you, Oliver, for asking the question. That's awesome. Great. Now we have Temi. Temi, you are next with your comment or a question. The floor is yours. Hello, Temi. Okay. Are you here? Yes.
Yes. Yes, I was just listening into the fossil fuel conversation, but then the teachers say that we're over that topic. I I don't really know what to talk about now.
No. You can talk about it. You can bring up your statement. It's fine. The debate was over, but you can still bring up any topic you want.
Yes, of course. I mean, that's the point. The point is for you now to make a statement or ask a question.
Right. Right. I mean, I just like my whole take on the thing is that, you know, like we all know that only 100 investors and like state owner fossil fuels companies are responsible for around like 70% of the world's, emissions. And that like somehow contradicts the narrative pushed by the fossil fuel interests themselves that individuals' action alone can, fix climate change, which is a bit absurd, as like our individual actions have minute effect relative to these like emissions. Like as we know, like let's just take America as an example. Like the average American households produce only like, I don't know what was the number again? I think it was either seven metric tons or 8 metric tons of carbon like dioxide out of a total of 33 billion tons globally. So like are you saying that an average household doing their best to even survive in today's society is responsible for what the big corporations are doing to our planet right now? Because like I'm just trying to put everything in perspective here, just to know everyone's opinion on this. So that was my question.
Very good.
Like, how would
Okay,
you?
so
Right.
yeah, so I'll answer that one. So originally, when the fossil fuel argument came into climate change, right? The first scientific report was actually done by a fossil fuel company called Exxon, which is now called ExxonMobil for whatever reason. And they were the ones that originally pushed this idea, right? And they try to manipulate a lot of stuff, just like you said, right? They try to downplay it. Yeah. So, but what other companies have, I think they're trying to side is that like saying things like, "Oh, you should switch to cycle. You should stop using cars." And the fossil fuel companies, they're like elites. They're gonna try and take off their responsibility. But I don't think we're gonna stoop to that. I think people are aware now, and they're demanding that they have safer work environments first of all, because they have terrible work environments, especially in America, for example. No, countries outside of America. Sorry.
Right.
And produce it cleaner. And they've done that. I think fossil fuels since the 1980s, we've cut down on emissions by a lot. At least in US, whereas in China and India, it's actually increasing. But I think India is like starting to slow down, but China's not. Um, uh, and it's become cheaper, and it's also became more cleaner too. And my point is that the primary source for energy right now is fossil fuels, and switching to winds and solar is not a good idea, because first of all, it's not practically possible to do that. And even if we manage to do that, it's going to only create more waste, and it's going to harm the environment even more. But we can go to nuclear energy, but I think we should go with it at a slow pace and shouldn't get politicians
Right.
involved. Yeah, that's my statement. Yeah.
Okay, thank you. Would the other side like to respond to that question? So Alex or Jazzy, how about you guys? Do you have an opportunity to respond?
No, like I'm kind of like, I just wanted to say what Konda said. So like he explained everything. I think.
Okay. Well, thank you so
Yeah,
much.
basically
Yeah,
answered the question.
Wait, Tammy, can you repeat the question?
Right. The question is, like, I'm just saying globally, on an individual level, how is it that we are actually, like, what level of responsibility do we hold as individuals, like normal citizens just going by their day? Like,
as
because like the
opposed to
question is, are
corporations.
humans, right? Because like the question is, are humans responsible? But are we talking
Yeah.
about as in like just your everyday human going to work and coming back and sleeping, or are we talking about like people in big corporations and big companies making big decisions?
Look, when you're referring to humans, I think it should be referred to at least like 1/4 of the population, or like higher than that, so you can consider everyone into the play, right? The average human, our responsibilities are the maximum we can do is like limit the use of CFCs or anything like that. Use like do not use cars that broken or give out gas or something like that. And like if you have a work environment which like raises the global warming, you can contact the government, which is like trying to fix this problem right now. And I think they even reward you for doing that, because it's helping them make the environment better. And
And try
honestly, I don't think it's a problem of the common people, because the common people are trying to help this. The planting trees, they're helping towards the cause, and what else could you do? So
Right.
just because a bunch of people do this, like the few ones at the top, I don't think we can blame all of humanity, because that's the point. Can we blame humanity for this? No, we cannot. Can we blame a few people from humanity? Yeah, we can do that, but then not humanity in general.
Right.
Okay, so
Okay,
I have
Ben, do you
some
have...
different.
Okay. Go ahead.
I have some differences in opinion with Sen. I don't think humans are irresponsible at all, not even a few ones. Like I said, I think climate change is being accelerated, but I don't think climate change is caused by humans per se, right? Uh, and as for individual responsibility, I don't think that individuals can do a tremendous lot to change how change the current climate the current way climate change is going, right? But I think like we can do something. Like if people are going to use public transport more, if they're going to use trains more, I think it's going to reduce emissions, right? I think you could measure it in data, but I don't think it's going to make a vast change. You know.
Thank
Yeah,
you.
Well,
I am
I do,
completely agree with
I
Kondra,
do
and
agree with
we.
Honda at a certain
Mhm.
extent,
Yeah.
but we need to hold someone responsible for this because it does not make sense. How am I gonna? Because like I don't know if you guys remember that whole ordeal about the ozone. What is it? The hole in what
Yeah,
was it?
Yeah,
Right.
just
We
above
yeah,
don't
it was
Antarctica.
hear about it anymore. Like what happened to that?
it was done by
Uh,
the
Yeah.
CFCs, and it got
Right.
fixed later on once they got banned, I guess. And
Right.
they started implementing stuff that turned the CFCs into broken down carbon particles and oxygen. So that's been fixed now. But then
Right.
you cannot blame anything on one person. You see, because it's a whole cycle. Even the politicians who mess up the country, they ruin how the stuff works. We cannot blame them, because at the end we're not voting them out. We're not doing stuff against them. How can we blame just a specific group, the rich people, for this? We cannot blame anyone for this actually. And
I mean, I wanna.
honestly, even if we tried, we couldn't stop anything. We could
I,
just slow it down by a bit, but
I,
what we're doing right now is just helping it grow, but then we cannot even do stuff currently, but then in the future maybe it will be possible, as Konda said.
Well, see, that's the thing. If you want change, right, you need to find where the problem lies. And when you look into the bigger scheme of things, you see that there's always that one entity, that always the same group of people who always cause the same problems over and over and over again. And the thing is, like, I know, like, some people are like, oh, but they just try to, bring humans to a certain new level of, just discoveries and trying to push humans farther into their true potential. The thing is, that's a really innocent take on things, because when we talk about corporations, right, the ones that kind of control pretty much everything from the water that you drink to the food that you eat to like pretty much everything, these people, like, they need to hold a much larger responsibility than someone who walks their dog out every day. Like someone who babysits, for example, has a less impact and a less, responsibility to hold than people who literally go to other countries and exploit the natural resources and just they just change the whole ecosystem. Like they just take the production of chocolate beans, for example. Like they are foreign corporations and companies go into parts of Africa where they go there, they pay, not only do they derange the social structure of the people, but also the ecosystem. They employ underage people, like literally just little kids, 5 years old, 9 year olds, and they don't even pay them because you cannot, like, child labor is known to be illegal, but they still pay them because they prey on people who don't have the resources to take care of themselves, because we live in a very harsh world nowadays. So what they do is they prey on those people. They don't pay them for the labor until they reach a certain age, which is, I think it's like 20 years, like 18 years old, right? When they reach the 18 years old, um when they reach 18, they start getting paid. And even then, when they get paid, I mean, it is basically kind of exploitation because they don't even pay them as like I think they get paid $2 per year for their whole labor, which is astonishing when you think about it. Like literally, people.
I'll agree with
Yes.
what you said because it is their fault. But then we still need them because poor countries
We need them,
they
but
do
it
not
needs to
have
be
enough
run.
jobs.
Hold on.
It
So
needs to be
I'll
run.
It
sum
is
this
their
up,
fault.
right?
I'll agree with that.
Emma,
Okay, I just
we
wonder
both, like,
if we are moving away from the topic. The child
Yeah,
labor
yeah,
is
I
a
know,
great topic
So,
to discuss, but it's just not today,
yeah,
right?
so
Yeah,
okay,
climate change.
Yeah,
I'll
thank
bring
you.
it.
Yeah,
I'll bring it. I'll bring it back. So
I have one point.
So I agree with you for the most part, Emma, but like I have some difference in opinion. I think we should be holding our politicians responsible rather than fossil fuel plant companies because for the most part, at least in the developed countries, they have a lot of restrictions on them right now, and
Right.
they are pretty well restricted, and they for the most part they're abiding by unions and laws that are in place. But politicians are not. They're like in certain countries they're trying to completely switch to solar and windmills. And I think if you were here before, I stated why it's an even terrible idea than fossil fuels, right? And it's going to create an economical crisis for the first part. It's not going to provide energy. It's not logical also, and it's going to create a massive waste problem too. For example, with the Green New Deal, where they want to shut down literally modern society, right? And they're pushing these ideas that seem really attractive, and young people and a lot of people are on board with it and they support it, but then they don't go into the specifics. And
Right.
we also have a political environment where people with different opinions, like me, and scientists that have different opinions to climate change, are not able to speak. And when they do, they usually don't publish their name on these studies or papers because they're afraid of backlash or even cutting their funding from government programs. So I think we have to hold governments and politicians more accountable rather than fossil fuel plants, and find an innovative solution rather than trying to shut down fossil fuel plants and trying to shut down our main
Not
source of
governments at
energy for
all,
that
but I
matter.
think it's the same people. They go hand in hand. That's the thing. The government, the
Yeah.
corporations,
Yeah.
like hand in
Honestly,
hand.
all we can do right now is probably wait for the future and see how things turn out. Because right now we don't have an alternative that every country can use. So yeah.
Right.
Okay,
Yeah,
Fossil
there
fuels
has
is
to
I'm
fine.
be-
sorry to cut you off, but we still have a list of speakers waiting to
Oh, yeah,
get in
yeah.
here with questions and comments. So thank you so much, Temi, for that interesting point and your question.
Oh yeah.
Let me just
Easy
move on to the
questions.
next person who is goes by the name of the Mind of Menace. The Mind of Menace. Would you like to ask your question or make a comment? The Mind
Probably
of
extremely smart.
Yes, must be. Okay, everyone here is very smart. Okay, excellent. So the Mind of Menace.
Get ready to get your minds blown.
You have to reply. Okay, very good. The stage is yours. Do you have a question or a comment? Hello? I think the mic is not working, unfortunately. Maybe you can try reconnecting. Because I have you in here and it's not working. Okay, so in that case, we're going to go to Hello World, and then maybe the Mind of Menace will reconnect. Okay.
Hello.
Hello, yes. Hello World.
So my question is that I think someone mentioned that out of 100% of the world's population, 2-3% are responsible for the climate change, and I do think that is an absurd claim. And I would like to know how you can justify that, because even
Okay.
very simple.
So this point, it's a repeated point. That's why I just stopped you there, because more than two people that asked asked the same question to Sen, and me and Sen have cleared this up and stated that we believe that it has accelerated the cause, and consumption, like I said, those 2 to 3% of the people do this because we consume energy, right? So we admit that that was a weird claim, and we don't support that anymore. And so yeah, we repeated this before, so, and you heard the answer probably, so I don't think
I
this
do
needs to
have
be
an-
repeated again. Yeah.
I do have
If you have
another
another
question.
question, go ahead. Go ahead.
So I think someone also mentioned that if we are switching from fossil fuels to like renewable energy, 8 million people would lose their jobs and it would crash the market. Like nowadays, also, we are going into the sector of AI where all the jobs are going to like transfer into
Yeah,
machine learning.
can I say something about that? Okay, so first of all, using renewable energy like windmills and solar panels. First of all, not only are you gonna end up using a lot of resources, and it's gonna take a large speed of time to get your resources back, instead of making profits. The thing is, when you're planting windmills and solar system stuff, it's gonna you're gonna be occupying a lot of space, all right? Like to support a whole factory, you're gonna probably need like 1 kilometer, 2 kilometer square of just windmills and solar conductors to fund that, and that's just a waste. You're like wasting the place of where people could have been living. You're wasting the place where you could have been planting or something else. And the third point is, yeah, AI has been starting to be introduced, but then there's also controversies to that. And other point is, while the people are going to go jobless in that sense, there's still going to be people that are going to get employed to help out with improving AI, be it giving supply materials, etc. Conda can take this from that.
Okay, so with the no, I'll clear this one up. So with the 8 million job claim of 8 million people losing jobs, that was just in the US fossil fuel plants. And that is directly, by the way, there is hundreds of millions of people that are dependent on fossil fuel plants indirectly that are going to lose their jobs. And without fossil fuel plants, American energy doesn't exist. There is simply no other source to this date that can provide American energy. And without electricity and energy, no job is going to be possible. Nothing's going to be possible. And with solar and windmills, I've pointed this out in the part 2 of the argument, where I read a massive transcript. I provided all the sources to those claims I made and stated why solar and windmill is one of the best ideas for electricity and energy overall, because like I said, it's way more expensive. It takes way more resources. It's going to destroy our planet. It's going to create way more waste, and it has a really short life, in only maximum 25 years, like Sen said. And we simply, and it's not logical too. So you need to provide everyone with solar and windmills to provide the entire world enough energy just from solar and windmill. You need to increase mining by about 2,000%. So that's not possible. Yeah. So
okay, I think you've made your point. I wonder if we can. Anybody else wants to add to this, or shall we move on to the next question?
I also have another doubt.
Sorry, do you have a doubt? Did you say you have a doubt?
Yeah, just Konda just said that hundreds and millions of people are going to lose their jobs and or get affected by the switch from fossil fuels to solar energy indirectly. But I do think that people would be well informed of it. For example, we do know that in the next 40-50 years that we do know that in the next 40-50 years
for example.
Okay, sorry. Hello world, can you mute yourself? Thank you.
Okay, so just one last thing. It's the same thing as Conda said again and again. It's just not logical. You can use the resources from the nuclear generators, and that would make much more sense.
Yeah, so I know what Hello World is asking. He's comparing how people are losing jobs to AI, right? Here's the difference between fossil fuel plants and AI and how the job market works. Because in a free market society, right, jobs change all the time as innovation happens and less labor is needed, right? But that is usually a gradual process where jobs are slowly eliminated by companies. They can't fire everyone at once. And slowly, by generation, people adapt to that environment, and they start to train for different jobs, and they start to go for different trade jobs. If it is trade jobs or more, of a job it is, they can train as generation moves on, as that job slowly becomes viable, right? But with shutting down fossil fuel plants, you're using legislation, you're using the government to shut down the biggest industry in the world, and pretty much millions and hundreds of millions of people losing their jobs with just one signature, with just one sign of the pen. and people can't adapt to such a massive change. That's my point, and it's not logical, so you can't do it. So yeah.
Okay, well, thank you so much. We need to move on. We need to move on. So we have next we have the Mind of Menace, who has reconnected. The Mind of Menace, you have to unmute yourself and ask your question or make a comment. The Mind of Menace, hello. Okay, he may be away from his. Okay, here we go. Okay, go for it.
Okay, so I'm gonna just say two, so it could not waste time. My first question is for Conda, right?
Conda, yes.
Conda. Okay, so I remember you was talking about how in Africa and India and poor countries like that, they have to burn fossil fuels and other stuff like that. But however, what are we doing about that? Why are we not helping?
Why are
Okay,
we
so,
not helping? That's a good question, Conda.
Okay, I'll take this one. So, first of all, the one who brought up that Africa and other countries are using fossil fuel plants more than us and using producing more than carbon dioxide, it's actually Zen, right? I only supported that they're allowed to do that, and it is perfectly fine.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Yeah. So, but as to your point, it's profitable, right? And as for us helping, America and other developed countries funds Africa a lot, and other developing countries. That is, developed countries are really charitable. But I don't see a problem with people using fossil fuel plants. Like for example, in America, in the national, in one of the national, what's the name for it? There is these landmarks that are. No, these Theodore Roosevelt's like took some lands in America and like declared it as national something.
National Park. Is that it?
Yeah, national park. Yeah. So in one of them in 2016, they found the biggest oil reserve in the world, right? The biggest one, and US is probably going to mine that and use that, and that's fine. We do produce carbon dioxide from it, but like I said, though that energy is way more suitable than any energy we have right now, except for nuclear energy, which will gradually increase, and we will gradually change to that. But we shouldn't legislate and stop one of the biggest industries right now that provide us energy.
And just to add to the factor, the thing is, all right, India, Africa, and the other countries, they do receive funding. But then the thing is, the internal scientists, you need basically a large amount of team just to be able to, make a proper team to do nuclear experiments. Russia has like the best research team in history, even better than US currently. However, it still caused the incident of the reactor exploding up. What was the name again? I forgot. Wait, can't I remember the name? Yeah, Chernobyl. Yeah, the Chernobyl explosion. Yeah, and it almost exploded the entire continent. So I think smaller countries and developing ones is safer for now, running on fossil fuels until they have a proper research team, until they can experiment themselves. Because you cannot just send like 200 or 400 scientists to one country and expect them to come up with something that even you haven't mastered till now.
Okay.
Okay, everybody. So the Mind of Menace, did you want to add anything? Make a comment or?
This one is for you. So when I first joined, I heard you say that humans were responsible, but then you said they wasn't. Can you explain that to me? I was wondering.
Okay, so when we say that, we're saying, I'm responding to you. So we said humans accelerated climate change, but climate change isn't caused by us. It's a natural process that's been going on since the formation of Earth, right? And it's always happening. Climate is always changing. But have we contributed to in some way? Yeah, we have. By producing so much carbon dioxide, almost 40% if you're being generous there. It is warming up the climate, and we accelerated the process. But climate change isn't responsible solely because of us. So that is kind of disingenuous to claim that humans are responsible for climate change. What's up?
So we're just adding on to it. So we're still doing it. We're
Yeah,
still
we're
causing
adding.
the problem.
We're adding on to it,
No,
but then the best we can do
no,
is
no,
like
no, no, no.
slow it
Okay,
down.
no. Yeah, that's the point, right? This is gonna happen anyway. The planet is
Yeah,
gonna
we're
warm
all
up
gonna
either
die.
way.
Okay. I think
Okay,
I
my
think you
premise. No.
so
Yeah,
much.
I'll sum this up in like 2 sentences. So here's how I'll put it, right? With the addition of fossil fuels, we got energy which fueled innovation, right? And by that, we produced a lot of carbon dioxide, which is going to fasten the process. So the planet was going to get warmer anyway, but we fastened the process. But we have because we used fossil fuels, and now that we have energy, we are making a lot of stuff that is trapping this carbon dioxide. We have a lot of innovation that where we can artificially manipulate the climate, right, and prevent global warming. So in a way, we can prevent this, and this is a good process.
Oh, thank you so much, Konda. That was more than 2 sentences, but we need to move on to the
sorry,
next speaker.
I tried to fit it in.
I know. Yes, I understand. Thank you. All right. So what? Thank you so much, the Mind of Menace. I think you raised some interesting points, and thank you so much for your answers to that. We need to move on. We have Mr. Blaster with a question or a comment. Mr. Blaster, are you on stage here? Raise your hand. Okay, here we go. All right. Feel free to speak now. It's either a comment or a question. Hello?
I don't think he's in the stage, right? Is he?
Yes, well, he needs to respond to the invite. He has been invited, but if he's...
So Mr. Blaster, like there's like a green thing above your screen where it says you can accept.
Yes,
and you
right.
have to click that, right?
Right.
No.
Okay, well, don't worry. We have another speaker here. Zidi is waiting. Zidi, you have to raise your hand. There you go. Now is your chance to ask a question or make a comment.
Hello guys. I have a question.
Hello.
I have a question. Like we are doing a little bit change in our nature. So is it a real problem to changing our climate or not?
Good question. Is it a real problem or not? Because we're always changing.
We can't all
always
take this.
changing. Oh yeah, go ahead, son.
Yeah, so yeah, we are changing it like by 1 or 2%. But the thing is, the ice age is gonna fall out someday, and we cannot prevent it. It's gonna just consume us by the rising the water levels, and we can't really stop it. It has to happen for the sake of Earth going on. There's no way we can actually stop this from happening. Yeah, but then what we are doing, 1 or 2%, it is harmful for the Earth, but then it's not in such a level that this is the only thing that's causing it, because 1 or 2% doesn't really changes the temperature or anything much. It's the natural flow that's changing it. And as for what we can do to prevent this, I guess, as we said before, just switch to other fuels, and which might happen in the future. But then for now, I don't think we can say that it's our fault that the climate is being changed. Yeah, sure, it's being changed by a few percent, I mean, accelerating it, but then it doesn't really affect it in the long term.
Yeah,
Thank you so much.
But if we know that we are changing and it will be not good for our young generation, so why it's necessary to change it or not?
Okay, it is necessary to change it, but then we're not going to do it. But then it's just going to take time to switch to nuclear reactors and stuff, because our modern resources just do not allow it.
So even if we switch to a different source of energy that produces zero emissions, that's not enough to prevent global warming. We'll have to trap carbon dioxide or find some way to remove it from the atmosphere, right? And that's where innovation comes in, and that's where other really good organizations and companies come in, and they try to find solutions to combat this, right? And they're doing it, and I think we should subsidize them, and the government should really try to promote that, or bring awareness to them, because they barely get any awareness, in my opinion. Like, most people don't know about carbon engineering, but they do a tremendous great job in trapping carbon dioxide under the
Thank you so much. Thank you. Sorry, I need to cut you off. We have another speaker, number 9. Where are you? Are you here? You need to raise your hand if you want to speak. Okay, here we go. Number 9 has a comment or a question. And I believe that may be our last speaker. We are coming up on the second 2-hour mark right now. So we've been at it for 2 hours, guys. And I think we'll give a chance. We'll continue this discussion after the stream is over in the stage. However, number 9, you have a chance now to ask a question or make a comment.
So, hello.
Hi.
Can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
Yeah, we can.
So, basically, we actually need greenhouse gases because if we don't have greenhouse gases, Earth will freeze below zero. And oh yeah, you can look it up at Google if you want. Okay.
Yeah, I know.
Okay. So I think your point is we're not responsible for climate change because it's already happening naturally. But the thing is, climate change happens very slowly when human activities weren't affecting it. And you were saying that it's gonna happen anyway. So I think you're implying that what's the harm of hastening the process if it's gonna happen anyway? And then you're saying that we're not responsible for doing so. And I think that's
No,
making an
it's not.
Okay, so
It's not
again,
that we're saying that.
Yeah,
Okay,
so climate
respond.
change, the debate is about whether climate change is solely because of humans, right? So I think you agree that climate change exists, and it is not because of humans. It happens naturally. Are we fastening up the process? Yeah, we are by producing carbon dioxide, right? But we need it. Like at some points, the planet's going to warm up, and the best solution and the logical solution we have is to advance our technology in that limited time we have and find innovations to prevent global warming. And we can't do that without energy. And the only way to produce energy right now is fossil fuel plants and coal and other stuff like that that produce carbon dioxide. But we'll switch to nuclear plant, and like I said, we'll try to prevent or try to reduce carbon dioxide that we produce ourselves.
Okay.
Okay. So I still have more comments. Sorry.
Okay, just one more comment then. Thank you.
One more thing.
Okay, I'm gonna let that topic go. So for this question, you stated that the CFC matter is answered already, but one of you said that CFCs are broken down into water, I think. So I don't think that.
So first, in the 1900s, CFC was a big deal, and it did make a hole in the ozone layer, right? And everyone acknowledged it, and that's why it got banned and stuff. But then new technology started to be implemented that started to break down CFCs into oxygen and carbon dioxide, just so that it can be prevented, right? And it did happen once in the 1900s to 1998. But right now, it's not happening anymore. It's been completely blocked. And so we're improving and we are stopping it from happening. So we are not being responsible anymore.
I'm sorry. Can I just make a comment that's uninterrupted? I'm sorry. It's quite long.
Yeah, sure.
I'm losing my train of thought.
No problem.
So CFCs, these can be produced by the refrigerators, as we all know. That's why the Montreal Protocol. Montreal Protocol was assembled in 1985. And the thing is, as a chemistry student, and I also took up environmental chemistry 2 sems back, CFCs are not that easily broken down. Compounds like that are not easily broken down. That if you can look it up at Google, I looked at it earlier. CFCs will react with the UV radiation, and this will like what was said earlier, this will affect the ozone layer. So it's not completely eradicated, I believe, and it will take time. Compounds like these take time.
It is taking time. But then the modern technology, refrigerators do not produce CFCs anymore, like almost none. And the ones that are being produced right now, like the machines that are converting the CFCs into oxygen and carbon dioxide, it is like, from the past 40 to 80 years, how much of a was produced is taking it down. So we are doing our best to patch things up and to prevent things from going completely haywire. So I think it was happening, it was being harmed, but now it's not happening anymore, and we are almost reversing the effect that was done by humanity ages ago.
I respect your opinion, but as a science student, I don't think not just the CFCs that we know, the CFC 11, CFC 12, but other compounds. I don't think it can be completely eradicated by this short time. So
definitely it's going to take time. All right. Well, I mean, we cannot stop anything from taking time. But then, it is going to happen in the long run, just how, new inventions are going to come up so that we do not burn fossil fuels anymore. We just have to wait and see how humanity turns out. We can't do nothing we can't do anything right now. We just have to wait and, have faith in ourselves.
Thank you so much. Yeah, I mean, we're going to have to leave it at that because I'm just looking at the time and we've been at it for 2 hours, guys. This is the longest stream so far. And so I think what I'm going to do is just, first of all, we're going to wrap it up and then we're going to maybe stay in the stage area if you want to continue discussing this topic. I think there's still many questions unanswered. But let me just thank all of our participants today for this amazing, amazing debate. Guys, you did so well. Thank you. I'm really speechless. This is good job from both sides. Really good. Okay. Also, don't go away just yet because I wanted to make an announcement. Of course, we are going to, today we've been debating climate change. If you are just joining us, well, you've missed it sort of, but you can rewind and watch again. Are humans responsible? Just to let you know, we had a poll going on my YouTube channel and quite a few of you answered it, which is really interesting. Thank you so much for participating. And it seems like 72% of the audience believes that yes, climate change is due to human activity. And 28% of you answered no, that humans are not responsible for the climate change. So just keep that in mind, that every time when we have a discussion or a debate, there's a poll going on where you can voice your opinion on YouTube. Well, but this is not the end. Join us next time because, you know, this is going to be the topic that is upcoming next Friday at the same time. We're going to have a debate on eating meat. Is eating meat ethical? So if you want to be a part of this discussion or this debate, please let me know. Message me. My comments, my direct messages are always open to you guys. So message me, just say which part, which side you would be supporting. Yes, that it's ethical, or no, that it's not ethical. And as a participant in the debate, you would be responsible for preparing a 5-minute opening statement, and of course you would have to stay for the debate and interact with the audience and your opposition. All right, everyone, so I think that's it for today. I want to thank you so much again for your amazing participation, and yes, if you have any ideas for upcoming topics, also I'm open to suggestions. We try to plan ahead at least 1 week in advance. But I want to make these debates very worthwhile for you and interesting. So I'm always open to your feedback. Well, everybody, thank you so much. Oh, and I forgot to mention, guys, that we have something to rejoice over because it's Friday. It's Friday, guys. It's Friday. I hope you have an amazing weekend. Exciting things lined up for you. And we're going to stay in this room anyway, just discussing the topic of climate change for a bit longer, so stick around. But officially, the stream is over. See you next time on English Palette. Bye, everybody. Thank you so much. That was really awesome. Really thank you, and a big round of applause to all of our participants. See you next time.